Looks like I'm going to jail. Probably a pretty good thing I got out of Florida as fast as I could, and now I'm home at Hale's headquarters. As hard as it is to believe, there's actually 2 contempt of court filings within Marion County against me for the temporary injunction. Now, before you start thinking, Jeremy, did you really break the law? These are both pertaining to what somebody else did, but Lynette went running to the courthouse. Let's look at the first one. All right, we're gonna see right here, just like Marion County is handling all of the contempt of court charges against Lynette and Crook and Rat. Well, they're also handling anything with me now. Now, this is interesting because I did not think that Levy County was gonna send it over to Marion County. And frankly, I'm kind of glad they are because of all the corruption we've already witnessed and we've seen. So in the case here, the state of Florida, yes, it is the state of Florida versus Jeremy Hales right up top. Notice of filing comes now to the state of Florida by and through the undersigned state attorney pursuant to section 90.803 parentheses 6 and 90.902 parentheses 11 Florida state statutes, and hereby gives notice to the clerk of courts for Levy County the filing of the governor's executive order and the designation letter in the above referenced case. Okay, now I'm going to tell you exactly what this is in reference to with this case. It says, I hereby certify that a copy of the above has been furnished to Jeremy Hales. Well, I can tell you that there has been no copy furnished to me. I have not been served. And it literally says by William Gladson, the state attorney in Ocala in Marion County, it says, I hereby certify that a copy of the above has been furnished to Jeremy Hales at his North Otter Creek Avenue address by hand or mail delivery or electronic service on the 18th day of April 2024. And then we have his signature down below. And there's more to it. So let's stop right there. First of all, this document is saying that through certification of a signature that I have been served, I have been noticed, I have been, and I have not been anything. I have not received any email. I have not received any serving. I've not received any mail. And they actually put my address of North Otter Creek Avenue in the actual court filings, which I cannot receive mail there. There is no mailman or mailwoman postal service that is given to an actual mailbox in Otter Creek. Everybody has a P.O. box. I have received nothing. As a matter of fact, on this day in April, I was still in Otter Creek. And guess what? Nothing. Nada at all. So that concerns me that the state attorney, even though I'm glad that this is in the hands of the state attorney, is saying, hey, I certified that Jeremy Hales has this information. The only way I got the information is the same way I got all the other information on Lynette and Crook and Rat, is from the actual county docket, okay? And so that's how I have been notified. That's it. There has been nothing given to me whatsoever. Okay, and then you can see the signature, and then this is a 4-pager right here, state of Florida. And we've kind of seen some of these already, whereas the Honorable Brian Kramer, who is the state attorney in Levy County for the 8th Judicial Circuit of Florida, has advised Governor DeSantis that the allegations have been made against Jeremy Hales for violations of stalking, injunction, and temporary injunction, which we can see the copy right down there, okay? And the Honorable Brian S. Kramer has also advised the governor that the conflict of interest exists, and that would be because of Amanda Martin. Now, the conflict exists for me because of Amanda Martin, and not for Lynette. So it's interesting that, yes, they're sending the Lynette stuff over there, but they're sending mine too, which I'm glad they are. But this doesn't have anything to do with me. Okay, and there Ron DeSantis, again, we've seen this all before. He basically says that William Gladson in Marion County is going to take over, and the assigned state attorney, one or more of the assistant state attorneys and the investigators have been designated by the assigned state attorney and shall proceed immediately. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, Ron DeSantis is saying, listen, William Gladson over in Marion County is taking everything over now. Now, why? Okay, so we're going to get into the why, but first let's get into the what, okay? The what is this. This first, and there were 6 that Lynette filed. 4 of them were immediately dropped by Levy County. And now I'm concerned that 2 weren't dropped by Levy County because, number 1, of the corruption, but number 2, what it actually consists of. All right, so number 1, the first one consists when Mr. Randy Shockett, legal counsel for myself, actually went over and either took a picture, took a video, I'm not sure exactly what happened because I'm not Randy Shockett, of Lynette's vehicle and with Crook in the vehicle. Now, here's what I can say. Number 1, I did not break the temporary injunction, even though I fully believe 100% that the injunction is bogus. All right. It is completely and totally bogus, and I will be fighting it, as I already am, in court. And so, how are you going to hold somebody responsible who didn't do anything? Well, here's how they're going to say that I'm responsible. Because Judge DeThomasis on that very day stated that nobody employed by me could take any picture, could disseminate any information, any video, anything. Okay, so number 1, I didn't do it. Number 2, my lawyer is not employed by me. Now, let's back up just a little bit, okay? What is an employee? I mean, if we're in the legal arena, we have to we've got to define what an employee is. An employee is it a part-time employee, full-time employee? They're getting benefits, they're getting wages? No. The reality is this. My lawyer is no more an employee of Jeremy Hales or What the Hales any more than the town of Otter Creek is an employee of Jeremy Hales or What the Hales. Now, you're going, wait, hold a second. Otter Creek, what are you talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is Otter Creek sells me a service and a product that I pay for. Now, I hope you understand that there are 2 ways to make money. You actually offer an item, a product. For example, you sell cell phones. You offer a product, or you sell a service. You sell carrier package, so your cell phone actually works. That's a service. And so Otter Creek actually gives me both of those. They sell me water and they service the water to my home. And I pay them for that. There's a monetary exchange for the product and the service. Does that make them an employee? Well, legally, I can guarantee you that the courts will say absolutely not. No more than my lawyer is employed by me. My lawyer is self-employed. Mr. Randy Shockett, Mark Feather, Doreen, they're all self-employed. They offer a service to anyone who would like to purchase that service. The same as residents in Otter Creek can purchase water and have it serviced to their home. And there are many individuals in Otter Creek that do not pay for water. As a matter of fact, there's quite a handful that actually steal the water. And then legally their water has to be shut off. So if they're stealing water, does that mean the town of Otter Creek is an employee? If they're taking what's not theirs in the first place? Absolutely not. It's absurd to even think that, okay? Would Walmart, when I walk into Walmart and I go pay for items in Walmart, does that mean Walmart is employed by me? And the answer is obviously no. There's many people who aren't employed by me. As a matter of fact, I'm not even employed by me. I don't draw a paycheck. At the end of the month, at the end of the year, there's not enough money to go around for me to actually draw a paycheck. Now, George draws a paycheck, but George is an independent contractor, which means she works only for herself. I hire out, or I say I want to compensate you for that service you provide. Deanna, the same way. Christian, the same way. Pepper. Okay, we're not getting into child labor laws, but Patience, The exact same. They are all independent contractors who are self-employed, who choose to offer me a service, and therefore none of them are employees. No more than my actual lawyer is. Now, does my lawyer have a right to actually go up to their vehicle? And the answer is yes. Just like any other person has a legal right to go up to their vehicle. Does my lawyer have a right to take a video or a picture? And the answer is yes. Everybody in the public has every right to take a video and picture. Now, Judge DeThomas actually infringed upon my personal civil rights, which he then later had to correct in court, which we will get to. I promise there are some major things in his order that nullify any aspect of contempt of court charges whatsoever, which we will get to. I promise we will get to it. So you have a right. I have a right. Oh, wait. No, wait. Judge DeThomas would say I don't have the right. Everybody else on the planet has a right. It is an amendment. It is a First Amendment right to communicate your thoughts as long as it doesn't promote violence, which is key. And by the way, what is Crook doing at the courthouse in the first place when there's a civil protection order, a permanent civil protection order that states he must be no less than 500 feet away from me and George? Now he's going to say, well, I had to be there for the court sessions. He has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the court sessions. Lynette doesn't want anything to do with him in the court sessions. Lynette actually filed a motion in Levy County Court to not have him deposed, to keep him out of the courts. Interesting. Then why is he at the court breaking the civil protection order? What if I called Levy County Sheriff and I said, hey, John Crook is actually breaking the civil protection order right now. And by the way, I pay taxes. You work for me. Get over here and take pictures and video and prove that he's breaking the civil protection order. Would that then constitute a violation of the temporary injunction, the illegal temporary injunction that Judge DeThomas placed on me? Absurdity. Absolute absurdity. You would go, absolutely not. No, it wouldn't. Of course it wouldn't. Even though my taxes pay for those Levy County Sheriff, right? And other people's taxes pay for those Levy County Sheriff. They are not employed by me. They offer a service to me that my taxes pay for, just like my lawyer offers a service to counsel me and defend me in court that I pay for. None of them are employed by me. It was John Crook who was actually breaking the civil protection order on this very day, in which Lynette then runs back into the courthouse, goes up to the clerk of courts and says, Jeremy broke the civil protection order. His lawyer's taking video and footage of me. Everybody can. And it was John Crook on that day who broke the civil protection order. And what did my lawyer do? Got proof of it. So how is it that I'm the one that's in contempt? I'm not sure, but wait until you hear the second one.
This is from Levy County Sheriff's Office.
Hi, sorry I missed your call.
That's quite okay, ma'am. My dispatch was unable to find an active injunction in the state of Florida at this time, so that's why I'm writing the information report. I talked to Mr. Cook. Mr. Cook stated that he, made the statement of stop filming me.
Okay.
This is what he said. He said, and I'll be putting in my report. I can't prove, otherwise I cannot prove anything else.
Many may recall when George was driving by the turd purgatory and Crook communicated, which he legally cannot under the permanent civil protection order, which then George contacted Levy County Sheriff. Now, this deputy is not one of their best. As a matter of fact, this deputy is, frankly, in my opinion, is one of their worst. And the deputy takes George's report of Crook breaking the civil protection order and then goes over to talk to Crook, and Crook admits that he told the deputy one-on-one And then the deputy told George, yes, I told her to stop filming me. Now, to be very clear, there is nobody under my temporary injunction that Judge Craig DeThomas has put on me based on nothing that I've done. As a matter of fact, he's clearly stated in court multiple times there is a lack of evidence. But then Lynette goes running and saying, Mark Feather tried to bribe me. The insanity of it all. George calls the deputy confirms, Crook communicates with George, and yet there is no contempt of court case in Levy County based on that communication. There's a contempt of court case in Levy County on me because George filmed Crook, which Crook is not protected under the temporary injunction. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and look at this and then we're going to break it down. So secondary, right here, we have yet another one where it says the state of Florida versus Jeremy Bryan Hales. Notice of filing comes down to the state of Florida and through the undersigned state council pursuant of all the same state statutes. I hereby certify that a copy of the above has been furnished to Jeremy Hales at his North Otter Creek Avenue address by hand or mail delivery or electronic service. So let me clarify it yet again. On the first contempt of court, alleged contempt of court, number one, I have not been handed anything. I've not had mail delivery, and there has been no electronic service. On this second one, I have not been handed anything. I have not had anything in mail delivery, and there's been no electronic service. And yet, it is under signature that April 18th stating that I actually received this. And again, I never did. April 18th, I was still in Otter Creek. Even though I'm not there now, nothing came in the mail, nothing was handed to me, nothing was emailed to me. I received all of this by going to the county docket and downloading it. That's how I have it. Which then again, we have the same stuff here, state of Florida under the governor, Ron DeSantis. And it says the Honorable Brian Kramer, the state attorney of the 8th Judicial Circuit of Florida, has advised Governor Ron DeSantis that allegations have been made against Jeremy Hales for violation of a stalking injunction. Okay? Now, it's funny yet again that they want to say that allegations are against me, and yet neither the first one of these or the second one have anything to do with me. As a matter of fact, when the second one happened, I was in Ohio. Okay, now it goes on. There's 4 pages to each of these. We have the seal of the governor right there, of DeSantis. And then let's read this last page here, designation. It says, State of Florida versus Jeremy Bryan Hales, Levy County court case. And it says, pursuant of an executive order whereby the governor of the state of Florida did appoint the undersigned William Gladstone in the pending investigation, prosecution, representation of the state of Florida in all matters pertaining to and arising from the charges involving Jeremy Hales for alleged violations of the criminal law in the state of Florida. I hereby designate the assistant state attorney, Wynn Vickers, to investigate, Doug Russell to prosecute the above styled case on behalf of the state of Florida. And that is William Gladstone, who's actually designating those individuals. Okay, so let's break this down, this second one. Okay, first of all, I've already stated I was in Ohio. I wasn't even there. Second of all, it is George who is not covered under the injunction, this temporary injunction that Craig DeThomas has placed on me. And George is driving by. She can drive anywhere she wants, anytime she wants, go anywhere she wants. She's not covered by this temporary injunction. And she films for her own protection, which she and every other individual in the planet has a legal right to, at least in the United States, at least in Florida, at least in Levy County, at least in Otter Creek, unless you're Jeremy Hales. And the judge actually corruptly and illegally takes away your First Amendment rights and your Second Amendment rights and your Fifth and your Eighth and some others as well. But we'll discuss those at a later point in time. So not only am I not in the state of Florida, George is by herself. She's filming for her own protection, and she's filming for her own protection because another resident in Otter Creek has already told us that Crook and Lynette were shooting at vehicles that look like George's when we weren't even there over the last fall. Now, that resident lives on North Otter Creek Avenue. That resident lives right across the street from Lynette and Crook. That resident is high esteemed in my opinion, and I love to call a friend. So, do I trust that resident or do I trust Crook and Lynette? I trust that resident, and I appreciate her friendship. And to say that I'm guilty of George driving by and protecting herself when George has a permanent civil protection order that states Crook nor Lynette may make any comments to her whatsoever. None. There can be no communication. And now Crook has communicated with George. You understand, George is protected under the permanent civil protection orders. George has nothing to do with Lynette's temporary. The only reason George calls the Levy County deputy and the sheriff is because the permanent civil protection order has been broken by Crook communicating. And so the deputy comes out. The deputy doesn't really feel comfortable on camera, which I'm going to say this again and again. You're in the wrong profession if you're a deputy, if you're in law enforcement, and you don't feel comfortable on camera. Because so often what happens is they feel fine filming you, but they don't like it when you film them. If you don't do anything wrong, there is nothing to be afraid of. And if you don't want to be filmed, get another job, because this deputy screwed it all up. So this deputy, after talking with George, goes over to talk with Crook. Crook admits to this deputy, yes, I told her stop filming me. Regardless of whether Crook wants to be filmed or not, he broke the law. He broke the permanent civil protection orders. George calls the deputy to report it, to then press charges against Crook. How in the world are we now in a situation where charges are alleged and pending against me for Crook breaking the permanent civil protection order? What freaking planet is Florida living in? This deputy is called for Crook, against Crook, and now there's something against me? I'm not even in the state. How could this ever be? Crook even admits to the deputy, yep, I communicated with her. That's it. Crook admits it. Where is the lawsuit for that? By the way, if you're looking for it, it doesn't exist. This deputy with the Levy County Sheriff screwed up so bad. Where is the lawsuit against Crook for breaking the civil protection orders? It is not in the system. It does not exist. But there's this whole thing with George filming. Oh, wait, that's because, she can't film me. She's employed by him. George is not employed by me. George is an independent contractor who can work for anyone she wants, for any amount of time she wants, for any amount of money she wants. I have no employees, including myself. George can go work for Town Hall if Town Hall wants to hire her. George can go work for Levy County Sheriff if the Levy County Sheriff have an opening and want to hire her. George could even go and work for the Levy County Courthouse because I hear they have an opening coming real soon. Amanda Martin. Levy County has a Facebook group, just like many counties do. Interesting how they don't like YouTube, social media, but Levy County actually has their own Facebook group. And they're stating, hey, join our team. And who responds? Okay, well, let's take a look here. Amanda Martin, of all people, respond. Amanda Martin. Yeah. Victim's advocate, son who assaults me, batters me, and who is in the exact same county, Marion County, with the exact same state attorney for his battery charges. All right, so what's said under this posting that they're hiring? Well, first says, Wendy Bell says, is there a job description online or somewhere? And Levy County, Florida responds, if you email human resources at levycounty.org, they'll send you a job description. And Amanda Martin says, it would be nice if they were accessible online. Okay, so Amanda Martin is obviously watching the job boards. Now, many want to know what's going on with Amanda Martin. Amanda Martin, to my knowledge, is still under independent investigation within the state attorney's office. That's what's been told to my lawyer, which has been told to me, that they are independently investigating. Now, they also asked for certain evidence from me, which has all been submitted to them through my legal counsel. And so they have all the evidence, communication. For example, Amanda Martin actually messaged me. So I'll show you here, messaged me through Facebook, believe it or not. Of all places, she messaged me, and then she went on to delete the messages. She sent 2 messages, and then she went on to block me. Now, I know you're wondering, what in the world did the messages say? Well, I'm wondering the exact same thing, because when somebody sends you a message and then they unsend the message, if you didn't see it in time, you didn't get to see it at all. She sends me 2 messages on February 11th at 3:12 p.m., and then she blocks herself. But that's all right. We can still see all kinds of crazy stuff with Amanda Martin, and no doubt we're going to see a lot more of her in court. Now, not as a victim's advocate, at least I don't think so. Probably trying to get herself out of the hot water she's found herself in. And then Wesley Sims responds with the greatest response ever. Wesley Sims is a local Levy County, Florida resident and is hilarious. And he says, Levy County, Florida might need to add victims advocate to that list of jobs. Which I have no doubt whatsoever that is probably going to happen anytime soon now. We all know Lynette is a pathological liar. That's how she got her name, at least one of her 39 names. As a matter of fact, remember, she's stated everything that they must wear masks everywhere they go. And yet here, just yesterday, they were seen going into Walmart. That's Lynette and Crook and somebody else in the cart. Not a single mask, not on either of them. And you may also notice, neither of Crook's legs are bandaged up to his crotch. Where's the bandaging going? And not a single mask. Can you say pathological habitual liar? I know you can. And Lynette is begging for money from people because she wants her baby to be able to play in the road with chalk. She wants her baby to play with chalk in the road. What insane mother wants their child to play in a road when they're in court before a judge claiming there's hundreds of cars speeding? I'm paralyzed to my property. Nobody. Oh, you know what a child could do with chalk? Oh, I just had this idea. You know that sign that Crook just moved that's been laying on the ground for a year now and that he weed whips around instead of actually mowing? And then it just sits there and kills all the grass and it looks amazing, and all of his trash is just one more of those trash things, but he moved it over. What if he paints that with chalk paint and the baby can safely play with chalk on a chalkboard? Now that would make sense, wouldn't it? But you also understand that Lynette is whining and crying that everybody's filming her. So what did Lynette do? Well, Lynette went and got some upgrades on the old Jeep Gladiator, because we all know with the hundreds, if not thousands of GoFundMes this woman has put out exploiting the child. She needs a vehicle and she needs this and she needs that. And now she needs attorney fees or they're going to die owning nothing. Well, there's a good possibility they're going to pass away owning nothing based on their decisions, their life decisions, not anybody else's. They decided to do all this. They decided to incite hate, harm. They decided to defame. They decided to extort. They decided everything. And now they're seeing the consequences for it. But what are they doing with the money? That's a good question. Here's a picture of Lynette's Jeep Gladiator that she's so proud of. Now, keep in mind the angle of this picture. You see everything nice and black, okay? Now, the sun is shining a different angle. Things are going to lighten up a little bit. But this is the before picture. Remember, Marli Huge is running that fundraiser for her, which a big whopping $200 is in there right now. What's happening with the money? Well, Lynette then went on to do some upgrading on the Jeep Gladiator. You can see the new wrap on the back of the Jeep. And yes, this is her Jeep Gladiator. This is taken on Otter Creek Avenue in Otter Creek, right across from my property. And you can see the new decals on the back of the tailgate. You can see even the J, the E, and the P are now wrapped. And beforehand, those were actually peeling off with black lettering. What else has happened? As we will, whoop, there we go. There you can see the Jeep just a little bit better. And those who never thought that Lynette had a handicap plate, she does have a handicap plate. And let's see what else is going on there with that Jeep, with that Gladiator. Oh, here we go. The custom grill. The customized grill now has flags all over it. Now, I know there are some that may say, oh no, there's a black bumper. There still is a black bumper. This is all black. This is not white. This is sun directly shining down on the bumper. And so with all that money that Lynette keeps conning and scamming people out of, she went and spent for upgrades on the Gladiator. This is the same woman who claims they don't have enough money to feed themselves. This is the same woman who claims they don't have enough money to feed the animals. This is the same woman who claims they have nothing, they're gonna die with nothing, and the beautiful baby and the beautiful story won't be able to inherit the beautiful property. Well, that's because I'm gonna see them in court, and a real judge is gonna make a real decision, and real consequences are going to follow. And there are fools that are giving money to this woman to go on to accessorize a gladiator over feeding a child. So either one of two things exist here. She's a pathological liar and they have plenty of money. And you can see it as they're splurging on accessorizing the gladiator. And they're all feeding each other and the animals. And they're just using this to scam and con people. Or the other option is they truly have no money and somebody gave $7,000 and somebody gave $3,000 and there's $200 in this little fundraiser from Marli Huge. It's a little amount from a huge woman, but she's given nothing towards. And the money is going straight to Jeep Gladiator accessories. She's either lying or telling the truth. Now, based on her history, which is really funny. Oh my goodness, this is funny because Marli Huge literally just posted, let's see, I gotta find it here. I mean, it's hilarious. I don't know what you're talking about. You claim MP Michelle Preston has lied at some point in the past. Show me. Oh my goodness, I literally just put out a 40+ minute video debunking some of the main lies. I just debunked more lies, and Marli Huge is that dumb. Like, you don't get any dumber than this. To see the evidence right in front of your face and not acknowledge it and go, show me. How many people have to show Marli Huge all the lies before she actually sees them? Maybe she can't see it over the fried chicken. Maybe she can't see it over that good gravy all over that mashed potatoes. Good gravy! Is this woman blind? Will I actually end up in jail over something I didn't do? Something they're claiming my lawyer broke the injunction and somehow I'm legally responsible for that? They're claiming George broke the temporary injunction and somehow claiming I'm responsible for that, even though Crook was the one that broke it. Both times, in both incidents, John Crook at the courthouse with my lawyer was breaking the permanent injunction. John Crook in Otter Creek with George driving by was breaking the permanent injunction. And they're trying to claim that I'm responsible. Well, I can tell you this, I will see them in court. I will see Crook. I will see Lynette. I'll see Rat. Amanda Martin will probably be in court. And I don't mind it if Judge Craig DeThomas gets debenched through it all. Now, normally debunking makes me feel so good, but in this case, debenching is going to be even better. And I've stated it before, and I will state it again. Before, during, and after all of these cases, I will do everything with my social media influence that I have to ensure that Judge Craig DeThomasis does never, ever sit on that bench again come election time unless the governor removes him beforehand. Now, we have to look at something very specific here. This is Craig DeThomas's injunction order, and these highlighted areas are the most important, okay? So let's look at this order to find out, did I truly break the injunction, even though in one instance, I was in a courthouse. The second incident, I was in Ohio. And so actually I was in a courthouse in Ohio too, getting the hearings from Ohio to take back to Florida for federal court. Interesting, isn't it? How in the world Levy County, so corrupt, could actually look at this and say, oh, Jeremy's responsible for this, when in both incidences, it is recording Crook breaking the permanent civil protection orders. All right, so here we are. Now, originally, Craig DeThomasis put out an injunction amendment or memorandum or attachment. We'll call it an attachment that stated this. Based on the totality, he loves that word, based on the totality of the circumstances presented to this court in prior pleadings and in the form of evidence presented at a prior hearing of record held on 11/29/23, and based on the extension of the injunction relief due to the respondent's request to continue the hearing to 12/6/23, which was previously set with both his and his counsel's knowledge and without objection. Oh, we got to have those parentheses in there from DeThomasis, right? Oh my goodness, this man. And in consideration of how the issues implicated regarding the potential prejudice of the petitioner if such conditions follow were not imposed, and in consideration of holding pronounced by the second DCA in Bud Love, you know Crook loves it when I say Bud Love. All right, and versus Johnson et al. It is therefore ordered and adjudicated or judged as following. In addition to all the conditions and restrictions previously imposed and set forth in the extended injunction for protection against stalking, and the following restrictions and conditions are imposed. Now remember, before, this is his actually updated one to make it legal yet again, because higher courts said what he did was illegal. Took away my First Amendment rights. You can't take away foundational constitutional rights of any individual. I don't care if you're a judge who thinks you're God or not. You can't do it in the United States. This isn't communism. This isn't a dictatorship that all bow down to Craig DeThomasis. By the way, I am all for freedom of speech. You can love me and say how much you love me. You can hate me and you can say how much you hate me. Frankly, when you tell me how much you hate me, I know it just proves how much you love me anyway. So really, I don't care as long as it's protected speech. There's protected speech and unprotected speech. Now, Crook and Lynette have participated in a lot of unprotected speech and a lot of other unprotected things based on the website they met themselves on. And so then the judge had to put in all of these words. Now, I'm going to put special emphasis on the highlights. The respondent, which is me, Jeremy Hales, and/or anyone under his control employed by him. So let's just stop right there. That's the first highlight. Anyone under his control or employed by him. Okay? So currently, there is nobody under my control. I can't control anybody. I've never met a person that's a robot that can be controlled by me, nor do I have any employees. There are independent contractors that work for me, just like Otter Creek works for me, just like my legal counselor works for me, just like the dump works for me, just like Walmart works for me, just like, listen, there are no employees. I have no legal employees. I'm not even a legal employee. So there is nobody employed by me, and there is nobody under my control because I can't control anybody. If I could control people, don't you think Lynette and Crook would have stopped after they received their cease and desist in May of 2023? Oh, wait. That's right. I can't control people. So he literally says, the respondent, Jeremy Hales, and anyone under his control or employed by him. Now, based on DeThomas's view, the planet somehow is under my control, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we can throw that whole argument out already. Randy Shockett isn't employed by me and nor controlled by me. If anything, he controls me, telling me what I can say, what I can do, what I can't say, what I can't do. And let's take George, for instance. If anyone in their right mind has ever attempted to control an Arabic woman, they're not alive to this day. Okay? Let's just put it that way. And so there is no control or employee known as George, or even her legal first name or legal last name. She's an independent contractor, and frankly, if there's anybody who controls either in any type of relationship, frankly, it would be George trying to submit control over me. But I digress in my argument. Okay, and or any way under his direction, including, but not limited to, any and all administrators or any forms of social media. Okay, so let's stop there as well. There's no one under my direction. Now, Greg DeThomas is going to say, even as you are viewing this video right now, that you are under my direction. You are under my control. Now, obviously, he has a major issue with understanding YouTube. I can't control who watches YouTube and who doesn't watch YouTube. I can't control who watches What the Hale's on YouTube or who doesn't watch What the Hale's on YouTube. I can't control anybody, and yet he's saying that I can. And Lynette is literally in court saying I can. And yet, out of the other side of her mouth, she's saying, I'm not responsible for what John Crook does. He and I are separate individuals. But she somehow thinks that I'm responsible for what anybody else does. He goes on to say that the planet, that apparently I'm in control of, has the responsibility to ensure that he does not publish in any form whatsoever. Okay, so now I'm in control of what anybody and everybody else publishes on the planet. It's my responsibility that nobody takes pictures of Lynette. Remember, Crook has nothing to do with this. It's my responsibility that nobody films Lynette. Remember, I have control, right? Well, no. Every individual has freedom of speech, and they have the right to legally film. They have the right to legally take pictures. Even Lynette years ago posted, you have no exception of privacy or inspection. Am I saying inspection right now? I think I am. Exception, inspection. You have no right to privacy. All right. If you're in the public, you have no right to privacy. We've shared those posts in the past, and now she wants to claim that she has all rights to privacy and nobody can film her. Nobody can take pictures. Nobody can say anything about her. Listen, these are constitutional rights. These are civil rights of all people. Judge DeThomas can't take them away from me or from anybody else. Utilizing any media platform or conduit of information of the name, image, and or likeness, and or any information, data, photography, videos, highlighted there, photography and videos, which there have been plenty of photography and plenty of videos. I mean, Lynette wanted to be famous, and now she is. She wanted my money. She wanted to utilize my platform for herself and her own game and fame, and she wanted free labor and volunteers. And she's finally famous. And so, do you think she has regrets? I don't think she has one single regret at all. Related to and or pertaining to the petitioner, which is Lynette, and or her minor child, that would consist, this is key here, highlighting right here, that would consist of all right, let's pause for a second because this is huge, okay? That would consist of constitutionally unprotected speech, such as fighting words, as you can see right there. In other words, everybody on the planet, including me, has the right to didn't I make up that word the other day? Photographer, to be a photographer, to photograph, or to take video of Lynette, Crook, child, anyone. It is a civil right that cannot be taken away. The only time it's not a civil right is when it's not constitutionally protected speech, such as fighting words. Now, there's only one person on this court battle that has not instigated fighting words or hate speech or hate crimes or anything along those lines. Now, you've got Crook talking about jamming stuff up my backside and George's backside. You've got Crook and Lynette talking about unaliving us. You've got Crook and Lynette doing all these things. And all we do is share truth. We share exactly what's going on in our life. This is the news story of our lives. This is What the Hales, WTH News, at 5:30 every single day, sharing what's going on in our life. And it just so happens that they are what's going on in our life in court. And how could this have never happened? They would have never stalked us. It would have never happened. They would have actually adhered to the cease and desist. It would have never happened. Do you think that they wish that they could turn back time like Cher? If I could turn back time. Maybe Lynette in federal court will be up there. If I could find a way, I'd take back all the signs that say you're the Ohio rapist. Okay, so let's keep going on here. Those personally abusive epithets, which when addressed to the ordinary citizen, are as a matter of fact of common knowledge, inherently likely to provoke a violent reaction. In other words, that's what's not protected. There's nothing that we have done. Now, Crook has posted multiple things in regards to violent reactions. Actually, even asking, where's all the rednecks? We got to take care of this guy. I mean, literally over and over and over again. And we don't need to rehash all those things. Those things will be rehashed in court. So constitutionally, I have the freedom to take pictures. I have the freedom to take video of Lynette. Now, Crook is not under this order. Of Lynette, of the child, especially if I'm concerned about the well-being and the safety of the child, especially as I share the news of what's going on. So, for example, in that Walmart video, the child is in the cart. I have every legal right, as she is in public, to share that. Now, I did not take that video. Now, somebody else did. And then that video was given to me. Actually, it wasn't even given to me. That video was given to somebody else who was then given to me. Okay, so it went from the person who took it to the person who gave it to me. And all three individuals have every legal constitutional right to share that video on any social media whatsoever, unless they start something in regards to fighting words, to act out in violence. And as I've shared so many times, from the very beginning of all of this, nobody should ever contact anybody in regards to these news stories. It is never appropriate for any reason. It is appropriate if you see something to say something, as Levy County deputies slogan in their main office. And yet it's a Levy County deputy that has screwed up this entire thing with George and Crook. And now I'm going in Marion County for something that I never even did. So I have this conflict in my mind in regards to the Levy County deputies, depending on which deputy it is. There have been some phenomenal deputies that we have actually worked with. But I want to clearly state we have never, ever, and never, ever will have any aspect of provoking anything whatsoever such as that. And then it goes on to say within this order from Judge DeThomas's, which had to make it legal, and there's still illegal things in this. See Cohen and California versus California, and citing Chapsky versus New Hampshire. True threats, those statements where the speaker means to communicate a serious expression of an intent, and this is what would be unconstitutionally protected speech, an intent and an act of an unlawful violence. which obviously we have never, ever, ever taken part of anything along those lines. Now, we have stated that we will do whatever we can and whatever we want legally to protect ourselves and our property. And that is legal, constitutionally legal. What Crook and Lynette have said is constitutionally or illegal. Unprotected speech, illegal, okay? To particular individual or group of individuals, for example, group of individuals, as he says here, Crook and Lynette trying to invoke the LGBTQ community against us. When Crook is the one talking about shoving stuff up my rear end constantly. The man is obsessed with it. And when I call him what he truly is, and when I call him out on it, somehow now he has a problem with it. And then he breaks constitutionally protected speech. Again, we can get into more of that. And then we go into the aspect of incitement communications or producing imminent lawless actions. Okay, these are extremely important as they're highlighted. Extremely important because, and done and ordered on the court, you see Craig DeThomas, and he adds his signature and some other things in here. Says above conditions to remain through, frankly, there's still to this day. For a temporary has an end date. There's still no end date as this is all still in court. And so for Lynette to even claim, for there to actually even be anything in the docket stating that I broke this temporary injunction somehow is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Keep in mind, I wasn't involved in any of them. Neither of the people involved are employed by me, and they have constitutional rights to be able to take a picture and a video. And neither of them communicated back at all. So they incited no harm, no hate, no violence. What they were doing is documenting John Crook actually breaking the civil protection orders. So this is where Levy County's corruption is. Literally, it goes to the deputy, to the state attorney, and it should be Crook is in Marion County going to jail. But now there are allegedly two contempt of courts against me with the threat of going to jail. Do I think I'll go to jail? Well, so far in regards to the corruption in Florida, the possibility is high, but the probability of anyone being able to find me guilty for something I had no part of whatsoever is extremely low. Not to mention, we have amendment rights. Not to mention, if need be, there will be a civil lawyer. Not to mention, if these people get this wrong, my goodness, this state is in so much liability already, as the state attorney in Levy County, as we came back for the summer, told the Levy County Sheriff, do not enforce these civil protection orders. Listen, this story is just about to begin. It's nowhere near over. Oh, did I mention that the second in command at the Levy County Sheriff's Station, Brett Beecham, is now part of a Jeremy Hales hate group added by Judith C. on April 12th, 2024, and now he's under investigation?